What's happening, people? I'm glad to see you back, or I'm glad to see you if this is your first time, and I hope you're doing well. Meaning and purpose, how to find it. I've made several videos on this topic, and although many people enjoy those videos, or some of my highest viewed videos, none of the videos seem to settle or answer everyone's questions perfectly because no video is perfect. I'm not perfect, right? So I want to make one more video for the time being so I can put this topic to bed for a while and move on to other things, other areas of concern. I want to make one more video to address this difference, this distinction, the definition of meaning and purpose and how they're distinguished. And I also want to offer up what I would suggest if I was trying to wrap my mind around finding meaning and purpose in this confusing and complicated and intricate and turbulent world. I have two mental models that I will offer up to you. Hopefully one of those fits with the way you think and the way you see the world and understand things. One will be a primal model, a view of the world before civilization in a sense, or pre-civilized humanity. And then the other model will be a more modern, simple, the simplest I can make it, constructive model. And that will be a way for you to wrap your mind around essentially what a human's purpose will be in this world, what anything's purpose is in this world in a sense. But before I get to that, before I get to any of that, those two models, I want to once again, like I said, distinguish meaning and purpose for clarity's sake, to define them. So to be clear, meaning and purpose are not the same thing. They are not at all the same thing. Your purpose is tied, I truly believe, fundamentally and inextricably to your physical form, to your body, to your mind, to your genetics, to who you are specifically. What your purpose is should not be someone else's necessarily. Although I believe if we had a clear view to this reality, to this life, to this existence, we should all share the same meaning if we understand clearly and accurately. So meaning is a mental thing. Purpose is more physical. It's more innate. It's more natural. Meaning is psychological. It's human. It's conscious. It's in the mind. And when I say meaning is in the mind, I mean a person can choose anything for their meaning of their existence or the meaning of their time spent in a day or in a year or in a life. So there's no constraints on meaning because we do not, well, within the universe, there's no constraints on meaning because we don't understand the ultimate end all be all point of life, of existence, of reality from an objective intellectual perspective. So until we know this, until we know exactly without any shred of doubt why we're here and what we're supposed to be here for in some objective intellectual sense, we are free to choose. We have a blank canvas, in my opinion. I don't think we're free to choose because I think one thing makes more sense than pretty much any other, and that's that we're here to experience, as that seems to be what this is, and that's a Cartesian sense. It's what we are. We know we exist because we experience, not because we think, because we can exist without thinking. But that's on another note. So why we are here, what we're doing is open to interpretation. What the point of anything is. We have meaning in multiple contexts. We have meaning within a specific sport or a game or a narrative or within an institution or within a role or occupation. But that is not necessarily the meaning for our life. We can have meaning religiously, spiritually in this sense. But that does not mean that will be meaningful to us or be important or impactful or considered in a more narrow context, like I said, within a school class, a classroom, or within an educational program. We section off, we cordon off, we parameterize our lives in sections and chunks all the time, and we operate within different concepts of what's meaningful in these areas all the time. So our meaning can be disparate, but what we're most likely looking for in life is what we're supposed to do, what we're here for, why we exist, why do we suffer, why keep going on, all of this. And like I said, it's to experience. It's beautiful. It's the thing that supports and underpins everything in a life. It's experience. But I understand that's where I am. That's my perspective. And it's hard to arrive there. And I may not be right. I believe that I am, but I may not be. You may disagree. You may believe that there's something more meaningful for a person to do. And I believe you should do whatever you think is right. But when you talk about meaning, meaning is not an occupation. Meaning is not, it can be, but it's not necessarily what you do from day to day, what you do with your day. In a sense, that is your purpose. Your meaning is how you apply your purpose. Your purpose is what you use to support what you find meaningful in a sense. The meaning is the umbrella. That is the why. Purpose is the how and the what. That's the how you will go about supporting your meaning, and it's what you'll do to further that meaning. The why is why you're doing everything and anything. Why do I do what I do? So that I can experience. I'm trying to, like any rational being, have enjoyable, pleasurable, desirable experiences. So everything I do, no matter how altruistic it looks, is selfish in a sense. It's to enhance my experience because I suffer if I don't communicate, share, what have you. If I don't help, I suffer. So through helping, I suffer less and my experience is enhanced. So meaning is your why. It is why you're doing what you're doing. It is the umbrella. It is why we're here, or it's why you exist, or it's the motivation. And your purpose is what you will do and how you will do it. However, the purpose and meaning, but purpose more so now probably than any other point in human history, is harder to divine and decide and understand and see, because we get it caught up. We get what we should do and how we should do it caught up in practicality. And I think that's an error. That's a grave error in human life, in modern human life. Before it was necessity. You did what you had to do. Now we have a plethora, a variety of options. And we allow our purpose to get hamstrung and shrunk and beat down by social acceptance, cultural acceptance, and financial security. We want to be okay. We want to be thought of highly, and we want to be accepted by the people that we find ourselves sharing a lot with, our cultural and social in-group. Now, this is an error because quite often our rational minds start to work, they start to spin, and we stop looking at what we should do. And this is important. What we want to do, what we need to do is really what hones in on our purpose, what is necessary, not desires, not what you want. Maybe what you want to do isn't what you should do. Maybe what you desire to do isn't good for you. But what you need to do, what must be done for you to be healthy and whole and to feel good and to feel right, is more closely aligned with your purpose. Your desires, your wants, your wishes, that can be sectioned off, in my opinion, for hobbies, for the the extracurricular portion of your day or your life. The purpose should be the bulk of how you spend your life and what you spend your life doing. Now, it's hard to see this yet again. It's hard to see what we should be doing and how we should be doing it when everything in our minds, especially if we're smart, if we're informed, if we're educated, if we're aware, we're going to be looking at the world and calculating. We're going to say, yeah, I feel like I need to do this. I need to help. I need to help these people. I need to work on this. I need to express myself because I feel like I have something in me. But the but comes in, but also can make six figures. I can make $250,000 a year plus a bonus if I do X, Y, and Z. If I finish this degree program or get this certification or this license, then I can prosper. Even though it's not what I want to do, how can I turn it down? Because practically it's advantageous to me. Financially, fiscally, it's beneficial to me. And everyone else will tell you you're good. Everyone else will tell you you're smart and you're doing the right thing, and big ups to you. But you will suffer. Let's pause on that because this is something I've tried to help a lot of young people with. A lot, but a handful of young people directly with. Seeing that no matter how hard and difficult it is for you to disappoint or to worry your parents, your peers, and your friends, you need to listen to that inner compass more now than ever, because the world's going to tell you one thing today and it's going to tell you a different thing tomorrow. You do not want to be batted around and blown around by the whims of the world. You want to move in a more directed, concerted pattern and path, and then deal with the world as it comes. So it's very difficult to listen to that, to what you need to do, especially as a young person. You're closer to it. Very young people are much more close to what they should be doing naturally and how they should be getting this out of themselves. But it's very difficult when you're young to stave off that pressure, the peer pressure, the parental pressure, the social pressure, the economic pressure when you're poor, you don't have a lot of money, to not calculate based on practical availability and attainability. What can I do? What will be easier? What won't be a struggle and a heck of a fight? It's just hard not to go this route. So what I'm going to offer up is 2 ways to think about this. Once again, let's just recapture this. Meaning is indeterminate. Your meaning can be anything you want in life, period. I believe that. I don't think it should be, but it can be anything you want. And as long as it's truly meaningful to you, then you will live a meaningful existence. That's all there is to it. But it's a determined thing. You decide, or you choose, or you realize, in a sense. Purpose is not up to you. Your purpose is not up to you. What you do with your life is up to you, for sure, but your purpose is not up to you, in a sense. And I'm going to explain that now. So in the primal model of meaning and purpose, of finding this, let's strip it down to purpose for the primal model. In the primal model, because meaning can be indeterminate, right? It's indeterminate. It can be anything you want. So purpose in the primal model is thought of like the role you would play in a primitive human society, pre-civilization potentially, or early civilized hunter-gatherer society, post-hunter-gatherer, if you want to call them uncivilized, because they didn't settle. I wouldn't do that necessarily, but in these communities, in these towns, in these villages, in these groups, everyone would have a role. Everyone would play a role. In larger ones, there would be a multitude of roles, and maybe people doubling, tripling, quadrupling up on the same role. If you can shrink your mind down from this world, if you can take yourself out of this world into a prehistoric, primitive society and think about what you would do, what you would be best suited to doing, and most fulfilled doing in a primitive world, you are close to hitting on your purpose. It's close to, if you're honest and you're clear. There's a lot that goes into this. It's being honest with yourself. It's not fooling yourself. It's not lying to yourself. It's not convincing yourself of X, Y, and Z because whatever. But if you're honest and clear and clean with yourself, if you look at what you would be doing in this primitive society, you are very close to it. Do you feel physical? Do you feel the need to run and be active? Well, then you should probably more likely consider hunting and gathering. Do you like doing things with your hand? Maybe building huts and tents. You know what I mean? Do you like helping people in some way to feel better about themselves? Maybe you should be a shaman or something like this, or a healer of some sorts if you want to be a physician or something like this in this world. So if you can see what I'm saying, if maybe there's other groups that want to come and take your stuff and hurt the people in your group, maybe you want to stop them, then you would be more of a protector or warrior or something like this. This is what I'm talking about. The roles and the myriad of ways we can manifest in this complex and intricate world only obscure what you should be doing personally. And we're primal individuals. We're primal creatures. We have 5,000, 10,000 at best years of civilization. Biologically, we're still in that world more so than we are in this one. So what you should be doing physically to feel fulfilled, to be fulfilled, to feel like you're using whatever you have in you properly, I think it's easier to look at a primal world and then try to find some correlate in that world, and then extrapolate that primal role into some role in this world than it is to look at the the millions of different potential things to do in this world for occupation, to make money, to earn a living, and to help. It's easier to look at that primitive role and extrapolate into this world than it is to look at this world and try to find something for a biologically primitive individual to do in this world. You're going to be hijacked by practicality, by social acceptance and all of these other things and cultural norms. You won't be able, it's just too difficult. You'll spend your life trying this job, this career, this role, and finally, if you're lucky, you may settle into something. If you're lucky, that feels okay, feels better than the others, but it still may not necessarily be your purpose. So I think we would all be best served if we were doing what we should be doing and not what we can do. I think we would all be best served if we were doing what we ought to do and not what people think we should do. Yeah, what we can do may benefit us and way more than what we should do financially, but that's going to cost us. We will suffer. There's always a cost when you're not right, in my opinion. When you're not right, you pay. You suffer. You're going to suffer when you're not being fulfilled. You're going to suffer when you're not doing what you should do. So every time you're off your purpose, every time you're misaligned with what you should be doing, you're paying a price, and it's too heavy a price to pay in 80, 90-year life. You don't have enough time to correct that, to recoup. So we can do whatever we want because we're free in a sense, seemingly, until we understand this universe deeper. But we're going to pay a price. And I think that needs to be remembered. And meaning, like, just to say one word before I move on to the next model, just to say one word about this. Well, one more word before I say that word. I think of the professions today that would have had a correlate in the primal world as noble professions. Someone's going to need to teach our children and our adults as well, potentially. Someone's going to need to take care of our sick people. Someone's going to need to go get food and to build those to me are noble professions because they will exist no matter what civilization or society humans build or erect or construct. Those are professions where if a person is truly aligned with those, then they will be most likely, if you're a construction worker, if you're a builder, if you're a carpenter or something like this, if you're truly aligned with your purpose, you have a better chance in this world because there's still ways to earn money, especially a physician or something like this. But many of the warrior, unless you're going to be a soldier, and many of the older primal positions in the society and the village don't necessarily have very many ways to do this now. So if you were supposed to be a warrior back in that day and you've missed your opportunity to be a soldier because you're too old or whatever, or there's nothing that you feel meaningful directing your purpose toward of being a warrior, then you could maybe become a professional fighter or something like this, some type of combat artist, or go do some active sport to get that energy out of you. You want to fight, in a sense. You want to fight. And you need something to fight. And this is where we get tricky. And I'm not even sure what my point before that was. Yeah, here it is. This is where we get tricky. Even if you're on your purpose, this is exactly my point. Even if you're on your purpose perfectly, you can direct your purpose towards some bullshit meaning. That is the catch here. You can live well within your purpose, do exactly what you were born and made to do, and direct that towards some BS. You're perfectly capable of doing that. This is why meaning is so important. You can live a meaningful existence and not do what you should have done. You can try to do what this person's doing because it satisfies your ego, it makes you feel better, but it's not what you should be doing, even though you're both working toward the same meaningful goal, supporting, I don't know, the environment, helping to eradicate suffering or whatever the heck you want to call it. Everybody shouldn't do the same thing, even if we all realize we should be working toward the same end for the same why. So you can live a meaningful life and not be fulfilled and suffer because you're off your purpose. You're not doing what you should be doing. And you can be doing exactly what you should be doing. And in a year before your death, your last breath, you can realize you directed your purpose and you were a genius at it in the most incorrect fashion toward the most incorrect goal. So it's very important that we get clear about both of these. So the last model, in my opinion, is, the last model for this video. And in my opinion, this last model is the simplest way I can make this. It's the simplest I can explain this. If the primal model is just still too complex, if you can't extrapolate or imagine yourself in another world, this will not work. If you can't see yourself outside of this world, this will not work. If you can only see this world and cannot extricate and pull off the need and remove the need for practicality when you're considering your purpose, because this has nothing to do with it. What you should do has nothing to do with what would be beneficial to you directly. You may suffer potentially because the world may not necessarily accept you for doing what you're doing right now, but you will live a right life. And if you know what you're here for, why you're here, then you'll live a meaningful existence fulfilling your purpose. And what does it matter at the end if you did that, in my opinion? So the simplest model, the constructive model, is, in my opinion, it's just three things. if you want to think of yourself and what you should be doing and how you should be doing and who you are as a human being, the simplest way I can conceive of it is you're one of three things. And not solely. You may be a combination of all three in different percentages. I think most people are a combination of all three. I believe I'm a combination of all three. You are a constructor. You build. You make anew. You create. B, you maintain. You heal. You keep things stable and solid, and you keep order. And my fingers. And C, you destroy. You tear things down. You see through things. You poke holes in things that aren't good, and you're a destroyer in a sense. You're a warrior. You're a person that works on a demolition crew. Maybe you're an intellectual and you're seeing through the BS of the current structures of society and civilization, or what have you. This is the simplest way that I can think of conceiving of what you may be looking at as far as your natural. There's no better way to say it, even though I'm not religious. God-given purpose. It's just the way I use God in a totally different way than many people. But in your natural God-given purpose, what you were put here to do, even though we don't know exactly intellectually and directly the meaning of our existence, even though I believe I do, even though we don't know directly and objectively, what you were put here to do can be known by you as close as, anybody can know anything. If you just listen to yourself, if you look at yourself, if you look at what you are naturally inclined to do, what you need to do, what you tend to do when you're not even trying and when you're even trying not to. So personally, I'm a destroyer. I deconstruct, I destroy mostly. I'm probably, 60% destroyer, 30%, I'd say constructor or builder, and 10% maintainer, healer, or whatever you want to call it. So my mind, naturally, my body want to fight. They want to tear things down. And I think the reason that my body and mind want to tear things down and want to fight is so that we can make a clearing, so that we can build better and build anew. And then there's a small portion of me that's interested in maintaining the things that we've built or preserving the things that other people are trying to destroy that I find value in. That's as simple as I can make it. I have found philosophy, intellectual pursuits, spirituality, anything that goes beyond the surface to the truth, as I found it to be destructive. It destroys untruth. It destroys what is untrue. And it's the most effective way of doing this, of destroying, is just to look to see what's true. Everything that isn't will be obliterated. So in my life, in my day-to-day, I find myself frequently engaging in discourse and in conversation with people that don't exactly see things the way I do and share the ideas that I have. And my goal is, in a sense, to get them to destroy whatever limitation or barrier keeping them from seeing what I'm seeing, so that they can move toward truth. So the destruction, the destroyer, the obliterator can be messy. It can be violent. It can be damaging to others, or it can be directed toward a useful aim. And I think that's all we need to do, is to direct our purpose toward a useful aim, toward a meaningful and worthwhile goal. The builder in me, the 30% of me that likes to, as you know, create, whether it be fantasy, whether it be fiction, just pure fiction and fantasy and sci-fi, or whether it be new models for the mind and the world and new ways to live and alternatives. So I like to construct and create and invent, but I have to, in a sense, I have to clear some space to build this. So my path is, in a sense, my purpose is in a sense, mostly to destroy, which is why I've adopted unofficially, without even telling you, in a sense, this mantle or this narrative or this role in life as a jhana or a yana yogi. If you look that up, jhana, and I'll put the text below so that you can understand the spelling, and I'll put a link in the description as well if you want to know more about it. But in a sense, what I'd like to do, what I am doing, what I've been doing, and what I must do is to share what I believe to be more true and better, so that it destroys what is less true. I have no choice, in a sense, if I want to not suffer, if I want to be well and live right, but to destroy, continue. I can't help it, in a sense. Anything that I see, I look for holes in it. I look for something untrue, an angle, a thread to pull on, to dismantle it. It's just my natural inclination, which lets me know I'm closer to my purpose. Now, some of this natural inclination can be obscured by conditioning. You need to be careful. Like I said, this is not straight cut and dry. We have so much that obscures who we are naturally. Not who we'd like to be and not who we think we are, but who we are naturally. No matter who we would be in China, in Japan, in England, in the Australia, in any other civilization of time, any portion of time, any other civilization, we naturally, physically would be geared and built to do these things. So no matter, in a sense, I guess the 10%, let's get to the 10%. The 10% left of me is a healer, a maintainer in a sense, because there are some things that I obviously find valuable and I'd like to preserve them or maintain them. Some things that I believe to be good. And there's relationships and people. There's pain in the world that I'd like to ease and heal. But the majority, I'm not the person that should be hugging everyone and making everyone feel good by stroking their hair. I'm not built for that. I'm built to destroy. And in a sense, if people look to you or to me for things that you're not built for, that I'm not built for, it's not necessarily, it will take a lot of energy to give that because it's not your natural inclination. Now, I divert energy for people that are of the greatest concern to me, the most personally connected, because that's what we do socially. We go out of our way to give of ourselves in ways that may not necessarily be the easiest or the most natural, because that's what you do when you're in a community. You don't have a billion people to pull from all these disparate things. But in a society at large, I destroy and then I build. So as a Jnana Yogi, I will continue to tell you what I think to be true, in a sense, to destroy what isn't true. I will poke holes in what you think to be true or what anyone thinks to be true until we're left with, who knows? I don't know. And that's a place that we can build from. So hopefully this video right here, hopefully, see yourself outside of time. See yourself in a primal civilization, a primal world. You cannot, it's just, you can, but it's just too difficult to look at a world with 100,000, 500,000 different occupations and things to do, a million or billion of them, not a billion, but a million of them, and try to decide from that. You'll spend the rest of your life. So you need to simplify it. Look at yourself in a more primal environment and understand what you would be inclined to do naturally. That is your purpose. Or think of yourself, are you inclined to destroy, build, or maintain? Think of it that way. And your meaning, it's experience. No matter what you think or what you say, it's experience, but it can be whatever you want. Just choose a good one so you don't direct your purpose towards some BS. And that's what I have to say. So hopefully this settles a lot of things. Hopefully this clears up even more, and I will see you on another one. So let me know what you think below. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you later.